What's up, world? Let me tell you about this beard growth oil I got from 12 tribes on Earth. 8 ounces of oily goodness with a nozzle that prevents sprays and spills, and soft ingredients that make it perfect addition to anyone's morning routine. From coconut to castor, all these oils are hand chosen. After using this herbal blend, the biggest thing I noticed is how soft and how strong my hair was, and how good I feel. Pick up your bottle today and make your beard the star of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just happened to be up extra early and this story popped up in my inbox. The Pope has died. If you remember, he was in the hospital for nearly a month with pneumonia. And I was wondering if he was going to be able to hang in there, after they claim he recovered. But I don't think he ever did. And not to mention, this Pope really was not in the best of shape when he went into the hospital. He was not even walking anymore. He's in a wheelchair. So this news came across and I looked and he died. Y'all, less than 6 months after opening portals. Y'all remember when he opened up portals back during the Christmas holiday? Yeah. So he was the first Latin American pontiff, and they said his death was announced by the Vatican in a statement on X a day after Francis appeared in his wheelchair to bless the faithful in St. Peter's Square on Easter Sunday. So he died. Wow. Y'all, I think he died on Easter Sunday. Either that or the day after. It's still around the same time. So he was the Pope for 12 years, y'all. 12 years. And he became the Pope. If y'all remember, it was Pope Benedict. He resigned, and then that's when Pope Francis stepped in and he became the new pontiff. So they said, you know, he was steadily steering the church in another direction, restocking its leadership with a diverse array of bishops who shared his pastoral and welcoming approach. They said he was real strict from what I was reading. He did not let anybody do a single thing without it being ran past him first. They say he was very strict about that. At least that's what I had read about him. And I remember he was the one that announced he was not the vicar of Christ. You know, the Pope is supposed to represent Christ on earth, and he made the announcement that's not what he is. He's the first Pope to make that claim. None of the other ones that preceded him ever said that. So, one of the things he was complaining about to Donald Trump, one of the last things he was complaining about was how the migrants were being treated over here. And the Pope did speak out about that recently. And you know what? Someone was bringing up a point how Donald Trump never travels outside of the US. Donald Trump can't travel outside of the US because he's a felon. There are a lot of countries on this earth that will not let felons in. If you notice, that's why J.D. Vance is the one always traveling and not Donald Trump. Donald Trump would not be allowed into many countries on this planet. That's why you don't see him traveling like Joe Biden and all of the presidents before him. In fact, J.D. Vance just days ago was at the Vatican. But the Pope did not meet with him. He had to meet with a bishop, and it might have been because the Pope just was not well enough to meet him. But he was well enough to be there Easter. So, and here he is gone right after Easter. So, in his final years, they said he had a bad knee, intestinal surgery, respiratory problems. He often even had hard times even speaking. He used a cane and then a wheelchair. And I mean, you really literally saw this man's health declining, especially in these last few years. I remember when he was still walking, and then next thing you know, he was in a wheelchair. So he continued to travel widely. They said he went to parts of war torn Africa, and he took a trip to South Sudan. And yeah, there's actually a picture of him in South Sudan, and he went February of 2023. So they said, actually, he was the one that embraced same sex couples too, y'all, which no other pope would ever do before him. But he did, you know, he did. And, so he did a few things that other popes did not do. He made it clear that transgender people could be godparents and that their children could be baptized. He refused to endorse calls to deny communion to Catholic politicians. Yeah, you remember for a while, some of the bishops would not do communion with certain politicians. And I know Nancy Pelosi was one that they did not want to do communion with, because I think they did not agree with her stance on, the A word. So they did not want to do communion with her, but the Pope disagreed. He felt that even if you are a politician and the church don't always agree on your stance, they should still be entitled to communion. So he recently, during Joe Biden's presidency, he said that Biden was a good Catholic, whatever that means. So many conservative Catholics accused him of diluting church teachings and never stopped rallying against him. Yeah, yeah, I do recall that happening. So, but he was also disappointed many liberals who hope that he might introduce progressive policies. His openness to frank discussions gave oxygen to debates about long taboo subjects. Yeah, but you know what he never took up? Who we are, who the real people of Israel are. He never took up that. He never took up really hard on racism. That's another one he did not. He took up LGBTQ before he even ever spoke about racism. And he never did that in the 12 years he was the Pope. So we'll see what happens if they're going to elect a new Pope. I know they were talking about that even when he was hospitalized this last time with pneumonia, because there was the possibility he was not going to make it. And they were talking about electing a new Pope. So, y'all, this is a trip. This year is turning out to be something else for real. Well, I'm not Catholic, And I certainly did not follow the Pope like that, you know, not unless it was an issue that kind of raised an eyebrow, like him opening up portals. Other than that, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to this particular Pope unless it was something that was kind of big in the news, like when he said he was not the vicar of Christ. Yeah, that made big news because that is what the Pope has represented the entire time. And he said, no, that's not what I am. So that made big news. And, along with other things. Um, but now I'm sure the Vatican will be in the news in a big way until they elect a new pope. His funeral probably will be coming up in the next week or two. And, they always broadcast the Pope's funeral worldwide. They do that all the time because there's just so many Catholics in the world. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this video in the comment section. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.